welcome to TalkFCB and welcome back here to the channel, guys. And in today's video, we are going to be taking our very first look ahead to next season, which of course is coming around now so quickly. Because already, Ronald Koeman has been speaking about his plans there, not only for his countryman, Frenkie de Jong, but also about the plans that he has for Antoine Griezmann. And in today's video, we're going to be assessing how all of that could shape up out on the field. We need to get this right. They are two players that on their day can affect any game, and Ronald Koeman knows he's got to get the best out of them. Let's get to it. Because like I say, last summer, Griezmann and De Jong coming into Barcelona, they arrived there for combined transfer fees of around 200 million euros. And you've got to get the best out of those players. You can't just spend money like that, bring them in, and actually play them there out of position. And quite clearly, De Jong, Griezmann, they are top class players. These are not bad players. They've shown at their previous clubs they are top quality, but it's all about using them in the right way. It's all about giving them the right platform to succeed. And in Koeman's new setup now, coming into Barcelona, yet another new coach coming through the door, can he now be the man to get the best out of these big money signings? Because if we start first of all with Frenkie de Jong, who I wouldn't exactly say had a bad first season. I wouldn't say that by any stretch of the imagination. Actually, I would say he was one of our better players. But obviously, you do have to take into account he didn't exactly have a lot of competition. It wasn't really a great season for Barcelona individually or as a collective. And as you can see here though, de Jong was played quite simply out of position. He featured there in his more natural, deeper midfield role for just 10 of his 42 appearances in all competitions last season for Barcelona, and the majority of those 10, they came there as sub-performances when he was coming off the bench there to directly replace Sergio Busquets. And I think it's safe to say that interior role, even though de Jong had some good games there, even though de Jong still could show his quality in flashes, I don't think he got the best out of him. I don't think there we've seen the player who at Ajax was unbelievable. Sitting there at the heart of midfield, he could take the ball in high-pressured situations, he could dictate the tempo of games, and we haven't quite seen that de Jong that shone at Ajax come yet to Barcelona. And I think certainly when you're looking there at Ronald Koeman coming into the club as the new coach, that is one of the massive positives, and I think that probably would have been in the club's thinking. The fact that he is Dutch, he has coached Frenkie, and he clearly does know how to get the best out of him. And when you brought somebody in for that kind of money there, de Jong, maybe he wasn't 100 million signing, but he was very close. Certainly with the add-ons there, we're well above 80 million euros for Frenkie de Jong, and quite simply, you need somebody to come in and just get the best out of that performance. And already, like I say, Koeman has been talking about the way that he would like to see Frenkie line up in his Barcelona team. This was just a few days ago. He was asked there in a TV interview whether he planned to play Frenkie de Jong in his more natural holding midfield role, and I did like the answer, because Koeman, not for 1 second's hesitation, he said yeah, as though it was sort of an obvious answer. He said yeah, that's always been the plan. When I come in here to Barcelona, we want to play Frenkie in that holding role. He actually said, I went to a Barca game earlier on this season, he said I saw Frenkie playing in another position, and I thought I would never play him there. He said if you invest so much in a player, you've spent so much money to get him, you've got to play him in the position where you expect him to give you that return. He said he's already shown his quality in that role at Ajax and also there with the Dutch national team, and now he will play there too at Barcelona, but he did say there will be competition. So Frenkie will need to be in good shape, in good form, but he will be in a position that suits him best. And I think for all of us there, when you hear those words from Ronald Koeman, a man who does know de Jong very well, de Jong actually made his debut in the national team with him. He's played 13 times under Ronald Koeman there at international level, and I think certainly that's music to our ears. It's what we've always wanted. Since de Jong stepped foot through the door, we've wanted to see him in that same sort of role that he played at Ajax. And I do believe there what Koeman is saying, and I don't just think that's empty words, because he has spoken in the past, just to back that up, about de Jong's role at Barcelona. Because if we actually go back now to March, Koeman did speak once again about de Jong's positioning and about the fact that he was in what he felt was the wrong role at the time. But also I have to say, just because Koeman would like to play him deeper, it doesn't necessarily mean he's going to be in that role on his own. Because back in March, Koeman said the position that Frenkie is playing at Barcelona is different to the national team and his position when he was at Ajax. Frenkie is learning to play further forward like this, and it's not all bad, but it is not his best position. For me, I think he performs when playing deeper, With the national team, Frenkie plays in a deeper role, but we do play with two holding midfielders. Barcelona only play with one, and then two central midfielders, or sometimes they play with four across the middle. And that's an interesting point. That's something certainly that we've got to pick up on there, because indeed under Koeman, Frenkie has played a deeper role, but, like I say, he hasn't played there alone, because for the majority there of De Jong's time under Koeman with the national team, he has played as that deepest man in midfield, but it's been in a 4-2-3-1 formation. So you'd have De Jong there in that holding role, you'd have a partner alongside him. Most of the time it's been Atalanta's De Jong, and what basically that's allowed the two in midfield there to do, De Jong would be the one who's sitting deeper, the other one there would have a bit more freedom. De Jong can get forward when he wants to, but it also helps there with Frenkie in terms of defensively. He does have a partner there to help him out at times, and it just makes it very, very interesting. Coming now to Barcelona, will Koeman stick with that 4-2-3-1? It's not guaranteed that he's going to play 4-3-3. Will De Jong replace Busquets in the team, or could we actually see them as a duo there, anchoring midfield? Or, of course, could there be somebody else? Could you have Frenkie in that role, and alongside him, somebody maybe like incoming signing Miralem Pjanic? You just don't know. And that's why I think this is certainly exciting to see what Koeman chooses to do in that midfield. We do have options, and I wouldn't be surprised at all to see that change in formation, which when we come on to Griezmann, that won't be a bad thing. Because, indeed, for Antoine Griezmann, it is a very similar situation to that of Frenkie de Jong, signed as well for a huge transfer fee last summer. And again, we did have really high hopes. Although I do think we thought from the very, very get-go, it is going to be difficult for Griezmann to fit into that forward line when playing at the same time as Messi and Luis Suarez. And that's exactly how it proved to be. You can see there that he spent the majority of last season out on the left wing, where he's cut an isolated, almost confused figure at times, not really getting the ball, not really making the right run. And he's played absolutely nowhere near his best level. And I think actually when you look at the time there that he spent as that centre forward, it's usually come either when Messi or Suarez or both haven't been able to play. At the start of the season, the two were out injured. Midway through the season as well, Suarez did have that time on the sidelines, and that's the only real chance he's been given down the middle. Not under Valverde, not under Setien either. Do I feel that he's ever really been trusted in that central role? And that's not only affected there his impact on the field, but I think more than that, it's affected his confidence, and that is something that I feel is even more damaging when it comes to Griezmann. However, once again, Ronald Koeman appears to have a plan for Griezmann. He said, with all due respect, he is not a traditional winger, so you have to play him in his own position where he's used to playing, in a role that suits him and where he can showcase his abilities. I believe that it's important that a coach knows his players and knows how to get the maximum out of each of them, and that starts by playing them in their best position. And again, that is very, very interesting indeed. Once again, Koeman coming out and frankly saying, well, he's not going to play on the left, he's not a winger. And again, he's sort of stating it as though that was an obvious fact, and as though that's something that will not happen under his management. And I don't think Griezmann by any means will take that with any disrespect. He knows that he's not a winger anymore. He may have started his career out in the wide areas, but he's come a long, long way since then and developed himself as a player. Because if you remember, actually, not long after Griezmann signed, it was last summer, about November time, he actually came out in an interview and he admitted he wasn't suited to playing in that wide role. He actually said, I don't know how to dribble. He said, I like to take one or two touches when running at pace, and he said, I like to be in a position where I can receive the ball and then shoot at goal. And I think Griezmann there quite clearly knows that he is much more suited to that more central position, and it's just common sense. If you play him there in an area where he's going to get more balls coming into him, he's going to get more chances. He's going to get more opportunities there to score goals. And again, it's an interesting situation, because will he replace Suarez as that central player? Will he play there just ahead of Messi, with Messi in behind? Again, looking at that 4-2-3-1 formation, it could make for a very, very interesting team. You've got De Jong there holding with a partner. You potentially got Messi in that natural 10. You could have two wide players on the pitch at the same time, which is again something that we've lacked. And then Griezmann as that centre forward with so much support all around him. That is very, very interesting there to keep in mind, and something I personally would like to see, and I think we all have done done now for quite some time in that setup. And the reason why I say, could he actually replace Suarez in the team, is because Suarez himself came out yesterday and did a rather interesting interview. He did come out and say, I want the best for the club. He said, my idea today is to continue, but if the club thinks that I'm expendable, I have no problem speaking with those who decide. He said, I would accept being a substitute here as I've always accepted it in my career. Competition is always good, and if the coach considers that I should start from the bench, then I have no problem helping with the role that I'm given. I believe I can still contribute a lot to this team. And that's interesting, because Suarez there openly admitting that he would accept potentially a lesser role, a role there coming off the bench. Suarez now has publicly said that, so you would believe there's no excuses now not to follow through with that. If Koeman doesn't feel as though Suarez deserves to be starting in this team week in, week out, he can do other things. And Suarez there, he's saying he'll accept a lesser role, so let's wait and see what happens with that. But that 4-2-3-1 formation, what do you make of that, and do you expect to see Ronald Koeman use it? We are going to be talking plenty more about that tactical setup that we could see as Barcelona coach from Ronald Koeman. There is lots more coming up here on the channel, and of course as well over on more TalkFCB. Make sure you're staying up to date with everything that's going on right now, and of course there in the Flick Chat with all of us Barca fans. Thanks for watching, guys. Leave your thoughts down below. I will see you soon with plenty more videos. But until next time, as always, Visca el Barça!